Hello everyone. Welcome to my Temu package here. These were gifted to me by Temu to evaluate. I was able to pick them. This is part of their Valentine incentives. I don't really know the word for it actually. It's not incentives. It's promotional items for Valentine's. These in here are not strictly Valentine because I was able to pick whatever I wanted out of it, but I did it through a search. There are Valentine items in here, and once this is unpackaged, I will be, or as it's being unpackaged, I will be evaluating each and every item at first sight, and then I will evaluate their use to see if they hold up. Alright everyone, my opinions are my own. I am not being paid to do this, so I think we'll just get into it right now. And I do want to begin with, there are 5 items in here. I cannot, for the life of me, really remember what's in this, so we're going to be just as surprised together, okay? Here we go. Of course, all links will be included in the description box. All other information will also be included. This may take a second here. Alright, I think we can get to some of it right now. So let's do that because I'm afraid of cutting into something. Okay, let's start off right off the bat. These are a set of 2 rose molds. Sorry about the crinkly cracky noise, but that is an element of Temu videos. They are both the same size. And we will see what the rose actually looks like after I do the evaluation on it. Now to look at the mold itself, it is a matte mold inside, so it won't be shiny. There are some shiny parts to it, some matte. So, I don't know if I'll even get that in camera. But yes, some shiny, some matte. So we'll give it a go here in a little bit. Well, let's get the big box out first, I guess. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is a candle making kit. I thought I'd throw my hand in on that since this is an evaluation. In this kit, we have wicks and their bases. There are double-sided sticky dots. Those are put onto the base of these candles, wicks, so that you can stick them into whatever item you're going to be making a candle in. This is a thank you card with how to use the kit. Let's get that up there. You can pause it and take a snapshot of it. Get it a little closer for you though. Okay. Got 2 of them. There are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of these little plastic. I don't know if they're supposed to be used for inserts or just as candles themselves. And we also have 4 4-ounce tins for the candles. Pretty shiny, nice. Opened easy enough for me, and I'm arthritic, so that's good. And I guess for the evaluation, I'll use one of these, one of the little plastic ones. This is the little stir spoon. I will say this does kind of have some rough edging in places. So just be careful with it. Use some gloves. It's always safe to use gloves anyway when you're working with things like candle wax. There are 2 bags of, I believe these bags are soy wax. And I'm not sure how much has to be used for each one, but we'll find that out. Let's go ahead and set these items back in here for right now. Run away! Get these set to the side. And this, I believe, is the black smelting kit. And there are shorter wicks in here. I believe these are colorants for the wax. Also, are 2 essential oils. One is vanilla and one is lemon. So I'll go ahead and do accordingly for that. Oh, okay, there's a red one in here as well for the candle wax coloring. This is the melting pot. I'm not sure what its capacity is. It looks to be probably maybe a 6 to 12 ounce. I'll measure that up and find out. And these are for holding your wick so that you can have your wick in the center and upright while the wax cools. And they sit kind of like this. You can have it sit up on it like this, or you can turn it over, but that won't work for these, but just like that. All right, let's get these things out of the way and get on to the next one. Remember, I will be evaluating everything that I've received. I'll get rid of this box. It's not necessary any longer. All right. As you can see, this is a heart mold. It is deep. And I will figure out how to open that. Okay, this is one you have to cut open, so that'll be done real quick here. Now this was sold as a baking mold. I will not be baking in it. I will be instead using deep pour resin. And we will see what kind of hearts and shapes it comes in. Now this being a mold, I also have to evaluate whether there are any imperfections that I can see in any of these sections. I can see it is of course a matte mold since it is meant for baking or chocolates. Just a small little bit of overage of silicone there that wasn't trimmed fully. And I am not seeing any imperfections within the mold itself. Well, maybe just a little bit right here. There seems to be some sort of pink whatever there. Let's see if it'll come in on that. There it is. But yes, oh, there's some more pink right here. But it's not going to affect the insides. Okay, let's set that to the side. Then we have a butterfly mold. Spring is just after Valentine's. I am sorry about that noise, everyone. All right. These are the butterflies. See if I can get them backed underneath here so that you can see more detail. They are well detailed. I do like that monarch. Looks like a monarch, maybe possibly a swallowtail. The rest I'm not so quite sure. The other one right here in the middle at the top looks actually more like a moth instead of a butterfly. And the last item we have is another mold, and it's another baking mold. And I'm assuming this is a cut open one, so that's what I'll do real fast here. As you can tell, it is a baking mold. This one does have a shiny surface on the inside. So I'm looking to see if there are any imperfections, and there are. There are smudgy scratches and scrapes in it. I don't know that you're going to be able to see it, but they are there. So anything, if you do resin work, it's going to show those imperfections. It is a little bit floppy, flimsy. So even if you were to bake a cake in this, you would have to have it supported in some way. The side here is warped in a little bit, same here, but I'm pretty sure that is due to the packaging for shipping. And yeah, I think I can still give this a shot. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to put into this. Maybe some eco-pour of some sort, like Resin-Crete or Pure Cure. I think that would be the safest use for this. So I'm going to put you on pause, get things ready, and I will set up so that I can evaluate each of these items. Alright, I'll be back soon. Okay, so what I have here is I'm just going to evaluate the candle one at this point. Due to needing to use 2 different types of resins in the really large heart mold, and it's going to be done in layers, so it's going to take several days to get that done. The 2 smaller molds I could do easily right now, but I think I'm just going to make it a mold-specific evaluation. So today is just going to be the candle evaluation, and I'll be back in a moment. My phone's ringing. Okay, I have this melted down. This is super hot. Um, it is ready for me to add the dye and such, and since I'm doing this in two different scents and colors, the vanilla scent is going to go with the red dye. These are 100 ml silicone cups. They will be a lot easier to clean than any other type of mixing cup. So we're going to stick that in there. And then we're going to get a yellow one, and we're going to place it in here to the other cup. And it will be the lemon scent. One bag melted down to approximately 5 ounces. These are 4-ounce containers, so I'm not quite sure exactly what I want to do with that. Thought, let's get some holes drilled into this. I'll have my husband do that for me real fast. These are my actual gloves. They're not meant for doing all these craftings, but I'm going to need to protect my hands. And so what I'm going to do is pour a little bit of the candle wax into each of these cups to get the wax colorant to begin melting. Notice I am doing this on a silicone mat. I'm going to try to divide this evenly. Well, not quite evenly, I guess. Now, my room is cold, so this is automatically beginning to cool down. I will use a silicone stirrer for each of these and try getting these to melt down real fast. And I think before that melts all the way, it's a little warm. Before it melts all the way, I'm going to try to get a little bit more of this poured off into this one here, try to make it more even. That'll do, I think. Okay, let's get this over there, get this into here, get that little colorant there loosened up. Get these both into the water. The water is still hot. I did boil the water and then lifted and moved everything as I could. That was one of my own hairs. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm going bald. Okay, we're going to leave those there for a second. I'm going to go ahead and open up the oils. This is the lemon. And I don't know how much to put in, but we're just going to go for a few shakes of it. Ooh, it smells pretty good. Kind of, sort of hard to get out of there, so we're going to shake it out as much as we can. We'll do the same thing with the lemon. Now, another good thing about this is that if your candle wax is beginning to solidify, like this one is trying right now, you can take these silicone cups and place them in the microwave, and then microwave at about 10 seconds each time. Ooh, that vanilla smells great. I can smell it from here. Very aromatic. Okay, we need to get these wicks affixed. So you just take one dot off, adhere the wick base to the dot, and then stick your dot down into the appointed area. This will help make sure that your wick stays in and not float. Let's get some of this stirred here. Those, ooh, okay, hold it firmly. Those colorants seem to stick to the bottom pretty good, so you do need to stir as much as you can. So I will probably have to put these in the microwave, since they are beginning to solidify, until I can get that colorant to melt down. It's not wanting to. I'm going to pull this one out for half a moment. Set it aside for the time being while I try to get this other colorant mixing in. I think maybe I should have chopped up the colorants so that they'd melt faster and easier. As you can tell, using silicone does work so greatly. But yeah, these colorants, they don't want to melt down very well. So maybe I should set that to the top right there for a moment. Maybe use a pair of tweezers. Pull that colorant back up. And divide it up. It looks like it's melted enough to do some of that, so let's do that. Now I'm sure that the colorant is not meant for this small amount. And I'm sure I'm going to have to pause long enough to stick these in the microwave. So give me a moment while we figure that out. Okay, I'm stirring again. That does seem to help the colorant melt better. As you can see, I'm getting chunky pieces of wax in here right now because it is trying to solidify. But it is melting that colorant a lot better. And then I'll stick it in the microwave and we'll go from there again. But I think I'm going to need a second bowl of water for doing that because I want these to stand on their own inside the microwave. Try to get all the wax back into the cup. Now, my preference of using or having wax candles is not soy wax. Soy wax tends to cause some allergic reactions on some people. My preference of wax would be beeswax, as opposed to even paraffin. But beeswax candles cost a fortune. But they should start thinking about putting beeswax as an alternative into these kits. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get this nuked up a little bit. Microwaved, not nuked, okay. Okay, let's get that. There, I've got the scent in that, so I'm just going to set this one across this because this will be what this wax goes into. So I'm going to set this aside. I cannot allow it to get too cool, though. So yeah, I'm definitely going to need a second bowl of hot water. Because this one here, wow, yes, it is doing its best to solidify all the way. It's cooled down enough that I could actually pick it up. Get the red off of there. The other one doesn't want to work well with others. There we go. We got a little too cool too quickly. Okay, as long as it's broke up some, I'm good with that. Now for cleanup purposes, I do know that you are supposed to rewarm this container. And then wipe it out with a paper towel. Sorry, I got lost in the train of thought here. Trying to get this to maybe color up a little bit. I don't think there's going to be too much difference in the coloration because this one is yellow and the soy wax also kind of goes yellowish. So I'm hoping it'll get at least a deeper yellow. Okay, I'm going to have to stick the other one in here and go nuke the two of them. I'll be right back. Alright, my husband is assisting me. He is warming and stirring the candle waxes for me to get them mixed fully. And so I'm just finishing off with getting these wicks prepared at this point. And I will try to get this as centered as I can. And then of course press down on that to make sure that there's good adhesion. As you can see, I've already got one set up. I finished setting that up. And so you want to put the wick through this hole for centering. And then shove it into that little area right there so it grabs a hold of it. That way it's all prepared and ready to go so that when the wax is thoroughly melted, it can go straight in. Now I am right-handed, so I'm going to pour from this side in. So I will get those turned the way they're supposed to be. For these here, my husband went ahead and drilled a couple of holes for me. I could have done it myself, but today my hands are a little on the off side. We have -degree temps outside, so my hands don't want to work. And why the wax is trying to cool too quickly. And this is just to hold that there. Now I have managed to straighten up these wicks enough that this will probably not really be necessary. And so I'm going to have these out of the way so that when I pour, I'm not accidentally hitting the stick and having to pour off. Alright, back as soon as the wax is melted again for the first candle. Alright, he's working on the red one. This one's ready to pour in, so I'm going to start pouring it right now. We'll do the small one first. I've got to get my paper towel to drain the water off the outside here. It is quite warm. I should put my other glove on, but I'm going to attempt it without it. Alright, let's try to get this poured in. And then the rest is going to go into here. Alright, that's the yellow. I will let this cool before I cut the wick. This one won't need the wick cut, and it is beginning to solidify already. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside, let them cool, and I'll be back when the red one is ready to pour. Okay, the red is almost ready to pour, and he'll be bringing that to me in a moment, but I wanted to show you this is how easy wax cleanup in a silicone mixing pot is. You just move the silicone around, it breaks it away, and then you can save these pieces and put them into the next one if you want, which is exactly what I'll be doing. The silicone stick, you just take and twist it, and that breaks the wax off of there. And I hear him coming with it, so I'm going to put this out of the way and get ready to pour the other one. Thank you. Alright, let's get this. We'll try to pull the wax off the stick itself, get it down in there. He's done a pretty good job of this. Took a little bit in the microwave because you have to microwave it very slowly so as not to burn the wax. Get those melted down as much as we can. And now I'm just going to pull this sideways to get them out of the way, get these lined up a little closer to me. I will set this on my mat for right now. And I'm just going to grab it like I did the last one. Get this dried off the bottom so we don't get any water in. Pour into this one first, to about there, and then pour this one. Alright, the only thing left to do is let these cool, and I'll come back when that's been done. I will try to hold this one up, so let's get a stick on that one. And push it back a little bit. There we go. Now it's upright. This one here has almost all the way cooled. It did really well, staying in the middle. And the scent is actually quite low, and I put a lot of lemon in there, so I don't understand that. I was kind of hoping for a very aromatic one. This one here is still warm quite a bit at the bottom. So if you want these to cool quicker, you have to put them up on a rack. I'm going to set this and this aside now so that they can cool and I can get the wax out of those. And this vanilla, it is so wonderful. That smell is just right there. It is extremely good and potent. And I put just as much of the vanilla in as I did the lemon, so that tells you something with those scents. I will, after these are done, be going ahead and put the evaluation for the molds on this same video. That way it's all done all at once. Please remember that if you do not want to sit the full length of the video, to please put it on ×2 so that you can see the process going on and maybe understand what I'm saying as I'm doing the process. Alright, I'll be back shortly. Alright, these are solidified enough. They're still slightly warm, these two larger ones. But as you can tell, I put them on my cooling rack. They are, yes, still a little slightly warm. The votive-sized ones, I wanted to see just how closely related to the votive size they are for those electric ones, the battery-operated. And they are slightly larger in diameter than those are. Alright, as you can tell, I did not have to put a stick on this one. This one had to because it just kept trying to lean over a little bit. The smell of this one, it's the vanilla, and it is absolutely fantastic. I did notice, though, that, as you can see, there are striations. Focus, focus, focus. There are striations in this. Sorry about all the shine. So I'm not sure if that's the wax colorant additive, or the oil, or a combination of all. So we're going to go ahead and light one of these guys. Except I don't have a lighter handy. One moment while I grab that. Alright, I did get a lighter. My husband brought me one, and then he reminded me that I have these around. Now I just wanted to show you real quick how long that wick is above. And how long the wick is above on these. Now, for me, it makes sense to cut these wicks under. Like that. Because the excess wick here, you can purchase those little rounds to stick the wick into and create another wick for yourself. So never throw these away. as you can see, that worked out really well. We'll get this one cut real fast. And I just noticed that this one here is actually bent. So I'm going to bend it back in place. There we go, that'll work a little bit better the next time around. Okay, let's get that wick removed. I'll place those in the box, and I'll place the 2 wick stabilizers in the box. I'll make more candles at a later date. I did want to mention that this lemon, there's barely a smell. It really is barely a smell. So these I'm going to go ahead and close up and let them finish solidifying. And yes, this lid is creased right here, but that's all right. Doesn't mess with the functionality. Maybe get that lid all the way on there. There we go. And then we're going to light this little guy, and let's see how it goes. Okay. Lights really well. It is, of course, going to burn quite a bit until it gets down to the wax itself, and we'll see how that goes as well. Now, as it reaches the wax, it should get a little taller on flame, and that's what it's doing. And I don't know if you can see that, but yes, this being plastic, it will melt, so I would say this would be more of a decorative item. And to see how well it fits just fine. All right, I'm going to blow this out, and I will be back with the beginnings of the molds. See you in a second. Okay, I was going to do the butterflies in my chameleon powders, but I can't seem to find them. I have been rearranging things in my craft room, so I'm sure eventually I shall find them, but not for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix very little epoxy resin, and I am going to put this light or sky blue, and it's going to go, in 1 cup, and this red in the other, and these are going to be for the flowers. I'm also going to add a little bit of glitter, possibly. Yes, I don't have the chunky glitter out for the one, but I do have this really pretty blue to go in the blue. So that's what I'm going to do with that. I know that these are not going to take too much resin at all, and I'm going to do probably just the monarch and the swallowtail. We'll give it at that. So I have to mix only a small amount of resin. Gosh, I think what I'll do is, instead of using these 2 big cups, or this one, I am going to go ahead and put, oh gosh, probably a total of 20 mil in each one. So 10 mil of A, 10 mil of B, and then I will probably pour some of that off into here in order to do these. And I think I'll just put the glitter into these, and I'll just dump it in. So what I'll do is I'm going to put you on pause and get that done. I'll be right back. Okay, what I did was I mixed up A and B in this, A and B in this, and A and B in this. They each have 20 mil total, so 10 mil of A, 10 mil of B. These 2 are set aside for these 2 inks. They are not alcohol, they are just dye, resin dye. This one here, I will be putting some of this dragonfly glaze in it for the butterflies. So I'm going to actually get, I'm pretty sure I've got way too much for these, and way too much for this, but I do have a mold here just in case that I've been filling. So I'm going to go ahead and mix a little bit of this. I'm going to see what kind of drop, oh, I better do this little number. This is kind of cold stuff. I didn't let it warm up yet. And just a little bit does it. Now that is acrylic paint, but it can be used in resin. And I wanted some sort of glittery effect. So that's what I'm going to get. I'm very sorry about my dogs barking. Alright, I've got that stirred in. Now I want these to be as opaque as possible, so I'm going to put a fair amount into it. And so red, 1, 2, 3, 4, for now, because it's a very little bit of resin. And so that I can get that dye down into the resin itself, you pick up your stick away from there, and get it going like that. That way it gets that dye down into all the resin. It's not as opaque as I want it to be, but I don't want to add too much more. So I'm going to leave it with that medium opacity there, semi-transparent. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glitter to it. The resin dyes I'm using, the glitters, are all from Temu, from my previous purchases. If they could ever invent something that would stop the static on this, I would be buying that stuff up like crazy. Can we get this mixed up into there? Now, most glitters will sink. The thinner the resin, the faster it sinks. Some glitter will stay somewhat suspended. Okay, so what I want to do right now is go ahead and fill the red one. Now, because of the type of mold this is, and its intricate little patterns in there, I stopped it right there so I can squishy the mold a little bit and pop up all those air bubbles. As you can see, there are quite a few coming up. Well, you might be able to see, you might not. I don't have that up there all that high. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill that one the rest of the way. I'm doing it slightly slower. And I will try to dome it a little bit so that a little drip off there. And let's go ahead and put this red into this butterfly. Since it's running down the side, I'm just going to let it run down the side. Alright, that's domed at that point, so we're just going to take this and use up the rest of this in here. Okay. Get rid of that stick. Wow. Excuse me one moment while I wipe off finger here. Wipe off that side so it doesn't drip off there anymore. Okay, let's get a long neck lighter and get those bubbles on top there popped. We only use the long neck lighters so that we don't burn the mold. Okay, I'm going to set that up there. Let's get the blue dye in. Okay. That's all that's going to be necessary for those. Get the dyes out of the way. Let's go ahead and put the glitter in now. Oh, we might as well just use up that glitter. Get this stirred up. Okay, well, it's not as opaque as I was hoping, so I'm going to put a slightly darker dye in there. Or maybe, let's go ahead and put a little bit of mica powder in to help with the opacity. But I still want the glitter to shine through, so it's going to be a very minute amount, about like that. As with all of these, you do want to lift your stick out so that it's not grouping up on an area that it's hard to get off of. Okay. That's a little bit better. Alright, here we go with this. Now, of course, if I put this on top of the red over here, I'll end up with some purple too. So let's get this filled. Do our little squeegees. So it fills up in there. Pulls out those air bubbles. You will need a good grip on this though. Okay, let's get a little bit more in and do some more squishy. See a couple bubbles trying to come out of there now, so I'm just going to help it from the side here. A little bit more, push some more of that bubble out. Okay, that one's domed. Let's put this in the next butterfly over. Let it spread for a minute. Okay, I think I'm going to have to help that one out just a little bit. The one thing I don't like about this mold that I'm noticing is there is a bow in it. It shifts, so it looks like it's just going to pull up and down at the other side, which is not a good thing. And you want something level. I'm going to pull some of this out for a second. I'm having to do this because it has breached at the antenna. As it's called antenna eye because it's two antennas. So I'm trying to bring it down so that the breach isn't so bad. There we go. This one has just a little bit too much in it, so we'll take that out of there as well. Looking for bubbles. There's one. I'll just move it to the middle real fast. Make sure there's no other bubbles in there. Okay, let's get rid of the rest of this. Although I think I got way too much to put into that, so I think I'll make one more butterfly. And I'm going to have to coax this up into its antennae. It's definitely a very fiddly mold. Okay, got that up in there. I will definitely have to clean some of this up when it's done. I have a piece of wood that dropped down there, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and get this poured in here. This should turn out pretty strange. And yes, this mold I'm pouring into right now is also a Temu mold from one of my purchase orders. Okay. Let's take this little stick here and get that picked up. There we go. Okay, I thought that was a breach right there, but that's not exactly a breach. Alright, the next one to do, of course, is the Dragonfly Glaze one. And since the mold is that color, what I'm going to do is very quickly remove these off of here and try to get this one slid up onto the black mat without spilling over anything, so I can get the white out from underneath it so I can see where I'm pouring. And maybe you guys can see what's going on better too. Okay, now I'm going to turn it around my way this way and begin pouring. Now these are very shallow butterflies, so they're not going to take much at all. And so let's ask what I'm going to be doing with the remainder of this resin. I believe I have another mold sitting around. Get that little drip off there. And it doesn't want to come off. Okay. I do have a silver metallic resin ball here going, so this might work out well enough for me. Let's grab another stick so that I can get these into the rest of the butterfly areas. Now this is going to definitely get some bubbles if you don't try to go and remove them from the sides. Now you're going to definitely, as I'm doing right here, have to push that resin into some of these areas. This one does not have any antennae. This one does not have any antennae. This is a lot deeper butterfly, or I think this one's a moth. It looks like a death moth or something like that. I don't normally try to have my phone answered at this time when I'm working, but I have some family matters going on right now in which I need to check the phone when it rings. So, okay, just a little bit more needs to go into this. And we're just going to go ahead and put the rest of that into here. Alright, I'm going to put you on pause, and I shall be back when these are cured, and I will begin on the other molds. Alright, soon. Okay, so these are cured now. I'm going to remove the roses first and see how well this turns out, and hope I didn't get too many bubbles trapped in it. And so what we have here, I'm going to go ahead and bring you in a little bit closer, maybe. Okay. Alright. And this is the red rose. I did get some bubbles trapped. I think that's just going to be the nature of the beast with molds like this. However, it is going to be used as an inclusion. I don't know why that is there. I'm going to see and check the other one and see if another gap like that exists in the other mold. I poured both of them to make sure whether they were identical or not. Whoops. And so if they're identical, then I should end up with the same kind of gap, or that just didn't get filled in. And I'm looking, and alright, so this would be the gap area right there. Let's see if I can get it up to you. And there is kind of a gap there, but so this one missed with resin a little bit. This one turned out much better. Oh wait, hold on. Yep, this one's got bubbles there too. So as I said, that's the nature of the beast with these type of molds. As you can tell, they're not exactly completely shiny. What you're seeing shine, of course, is the glitter. There is a little bit of shine to some of the mold, but not all of it. Alright, here come the butterflies. Let's see how badly I did with those on the pour. It looks like I missed part of the antenna on that one. And it is shiny and matte. So let's try to get that up there. A little bit closer maybe. Get some sort of darker background, I think, behind it. Let's go with this. Okay, let's see if we can get that to come in all the way. So it does have the sparkle, although it's not picking up very well, but it is there. Alright, next butterfly. This is, I believe, a swallowtail, and it looks like I definitely overpoured it. But no, actually, it just slid into there. So that's a bad thing. That's something you don't want in a mold. So my suggestion is to put a piece of paper or something in those areas and lift them that way. But they are detailed. Bring that up as close as I can. Focus. There it goes. So yes, this mold does have a lean defect in it. And I think it's because this one here is quite deep. I don't know if you can tell, but they are definitely not the same depth. And that is going to affect how your mold, the weight from the resin sinks down. Okay, let's get this one out. This one turned out all right. And this is one I believe is a moth. It doesn't even have antenna in it. It's got some sort of weird shaped head. Okay, let's go with the deeper butterfly. See if I can make sure I get the antennae out. I know this is a long video, everyone. I will try to speed up the next portion It's still slightly bendy, but it will harden the rest of the way. And I'm checking for holes, and I don't see any in it, although I do feel one right here and here. So you will definitely need to pour only a little bit in and then squeegee down into there to push the air out. So that's that one, what it looks like. Okay, let's go with this one. See how badly that one sunk down in there? Yeah, I have a kind of a concave here and a concave here, so it does sink down into the middle. And that's just not good. So yes, please put something underneath. This one's got quite a few micro bubbles in it, and I don't know if you're going to see that well, especially if it doesn't focus. But as you can tell, there are micro bubbles down into the wings. Okay, and the last one. And same thing with this. You just have to really run those edges with a tool to remove the bubbles from the edges. Oh, come on and focus. There we go. All right, that's that portion. And now on to the deep molds. Back soon. Okay, I do have for these large molds several options. One is to paint the inside of them with some mica powder. I do believe the mica would stick. And then coat that with resin after they're done with, say, something like the things that can be deep poured without a problem, which are things like Resincrete or Pure Cure, stuff like that. As I said, these are made for baking. They're not made for resin work. And these have a warpage problem. If you don't set it just proper, these bend all over the place. So I don't want to have to fill all of these. And I need space. I'm not going to want to do this in Resincrete. I have decided, because I only have so much Resincrete left, but I have decided to do them with deep pour epoxy and in layers, or with 1-to-1 epoxy resin. And so I'm still trying to decide on that while I'm getting this prepared. But I cannot do both of these large molds together on my mat because they won't cure properly. There's not enough room to put them where they cure well, because they do have to be set away from the edges. So I wouldn't be able to pour all of these. I would only be able to do probably the middle, and probably just the middle too if I were to go ahead and do these all at once, which is what I'm going to go ahead and do. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up about, I don't know, probably 400 ml worth. So 400 milliliters of 1-to-1 resin. That way I can pour some in here and this one and some in this. And that way I can let them take time to cure. So I'm going to go ahead, get that done. When I do this, I will be putting a pinkish color into the resin. And this is, it says pink, but it looks kind of red too. So I won't be putting much of it in. I will also be putting this pink glitter, which is a little bit chunky. So I'm going to go ahead, get the resin mixed up, get it ready, and I'll be back for the pour. Okay, I want to go ahead and add some dragonfly glaze to this. Just a little though. Just for that little bit of extra sparkle. And I'll go ahead and mix that down in here real fast. As I said before, the dragonfly glaze is an acrylic paint type of situation. And mine's a little old, so it will take somewhat more time to stir in. Alright, now I'm looking for that wonderful shade of pink that is barely there, because, as I said, this is going to be a several layer pour going on. Okay, I have not opened this one yet, so I just use a push pin and poke one hole in the top. Please be careful if you've shaken this, because it will pop out like a volcano. Alright, this has now been opened, so I'm going to go ahead and shake it to mix it. I need to get the band of this off, and it's not wanting to come off. There we go. And since this is so deep right now, I do need to watch my time so that I don't have a flash cure try. Oops, almost forgot to shake it, everybody. Make sure the lid is on completely tight. Shake. Check the bottom, make sure there's no sediment. And as I said, I'm going for that perfect shade of pink that is barely there. So we're going to do this a little at a time. I'm going to put 2 drops and see how that goes. Now these are supposed to be dyes, not alcohol inks, but they do act like alcohol inks. And I don't understand that, but we shall see what goes on with that little bit of ink. And I think that is a lot more than I was bargaining for, actually, so one would have done that. And that in itself kind of says that, hey, I am a dye, not an alcohol ink, because it is very much more pigmented than alcohol inks are. Make sure there's no streaks. I am having an issue with some of that dragonfly glaze, but that's okay. Okay, we're getting ready to pour now. Remember, this cannot be poured too deep, so what we are going to do, I am going to do, is I'm going to set this down for a moment because this is a silicone cup, therefore it is flexible and needs to be held in full control. So we're going to pour what I know I can handle in this depth. I'm going to take my stick and see how deep I've gotten it, and that's as far as I'm going to risk it. I should be able to get a little bit more actually into it, so I'm going to attempt it. Okay, that right there should do it. Now I'm going to go ahead and pour into these smaller hearts to about there. So of course I made too much. So now what to do with the rest of it? I guess I will pour 2 more hearts. And try to get them all the same level, I guess. That looks like I got it now. So since I have so much more, let's go ahead and pour, let's do the inside heart here. And the other inside heart. And we'll put the rest on the other end over there. Alright, it's got just the right amount of the pink I want. And I'm going to set this down here. And set this down here. And now I'm going to put you on pause. I'm going to put a tent over this and let it get mostly cured, and I'll be back. Alright, it's been an hour. I didn't let it set the full 2 hours because I wanted to add my inclusions into this. And so these are the types of things I'm putting in. This is why I said that some things, you know, will be useful in other things. And all I'm going to do is set this down so that it gets incorporated into this. Now, I might have an issue with these. They might catch air and create bubbles, but that's all right too. Let me grab a glove. I'm using some of my larger gloves because my fingernails tried to cut through the others. So, I have the rose, which is going to be placed in here. Now, in tradition, the man is on, well, the man is on this side. When it flips over, it'll be this side. No, okay, so when I want it flipped over, yeah, anyway. So I'm going to set this down in here and push it down in. I may actually have to put a little bit of UV resin to hold it then, because it is not wanting to get down in there. So I will put a little bit of UV resin to hold it. And I do mean very little because I don't want, this is also a Temu product. So I do want to place the butterfly, well, let's go ahead and place just a little dot here. One here. And then I will set the 2 roses down so that it's touching it. I've never had it actually cure that fast, everyone, so. We'll get these 2 set. And I'll have to put the light in sideways. Excuse my cough. We're having a little bit of a snowstorm here. Well, not really. We had the snowstorm, now we're just in the middle of the freeze, and it's pretty cold outside, about minus 28 Fahrenheit. Now, of course, these are not going to be extremely level or horizontal with each other. I'll test it in a moment here to make sure that it's set. And of course, I just noticed a little hair that got stuck in this one. Okay, it looks like that one is sticking. That one's trying to stick. Now, I won't be able to finish curing those until I get this filled and then unmolded and turned over. I just want to make sure they're stuck and not going to go anywhere. Alright, now we'll put the butterflies down. And I think we'll put the blue butterfly over here and the red one over here. And now to stick these down, what I'm going to do with the UV resin is just put a dot at each wing. And that should anchor it. I never can get this cap proper. There we go. I am almost out of UV resin. So we're going to go ahead and get these stuck. Okay, now what I'm going to do is pretty much do the same thing with these little inclusions. I have some red and I have some blue. So I want some red stars. And I'm just going to let them fall where they may. And we're going to do the same thing with the blue stars. Get one more in there. And I think I want some blue hearts in there as well. Those I'll place just a little bit. Maybe just one of those, and we'll go with one of these. Alright, now we'll get the same of those in the red. Let's put that one down here. And put that one to the side over there. Okay. So now we do the UV resin one more time on each one of those. Just a little dab, so that they stay put. I'll let that one go into that area, and then we're going to see if I can see this one very well. Okay. Now we'll just go ahead and cure those. I'm going to put you on pause while I do that. Alright, I made another 400 ml, and I'm going to go ahead and do exactly what I did the last time, with possibly a little bit less ink. So I'm going to do one drop, and then I'm going to stir. I think I'll go ahead and do the second drop of ink. As you can see, I started off in the middle with my stick high above it so that I can push it down in there and keep it from the sides. It's a lot easier to mix that way. Okay, that's the same as that. Now we're going to put some more dragonfly glaze in it. 1 drop, 2 drop. And I think that should do it. Let's get that spectacular sparkle going in there. I'll take that little chunk out. And I think I'm going to do something slightly different from the last time. And I'm going to go ahead and add a very small amount of red glitter. And that'll about do that, maybe a little bit more. That'll do it. Okay. Now remember, glitter sinks for the most part, so it'll end up in the middle around everything. And this is a mix of chunky glitter and fine glitter. And it's holographic, so I'm putting just a little bit in there. And just to mix it now. Okay, let's get the sides one more time. Alright, let's get this started to pour. Before I do that though, I'm going to grab a napkin here. I use very inexpensive napkins so that I'm not wasting money. And we're going to get this pouring quickly. Now this will take a little bit more resin than the last time because it's whiter now. Let's try to keep it from dripping down the outside all the way. Let's get some into these. And then I'll have one more pour. And I'll go ahead and put the rest of this in here because that's not that deep. Alright, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to pause this now and I'll be back later. I have almost forgotten that I was going to add some of this chunky glitter to these little hearts. Didn't want to put too much in it, but, well, as with most things resin works, wise, not always do you get what you want. Okay, I think that'll do for all of them. Now I can let it spread on its own, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to go ahead, grab my little stick here, and give it a little stir around. Let it sink where it's going to. This is just going to add a little interest to it, because they don't have inclusions like this does. Now my last pour will be very shallow, because I have pretty much used up all my resin in these items for this test evaluation. Alright everybody, I'll be back in a few minutes. For you. A long time for me. Alright everyone, this is the final layer. I don't even know if I'm going to have enough to do a full layer. I am on the very last of my resin. So I'm going to add a little bit of the dragonfly glaze again. And I'm going to go ahead and add this blue glitter to try to give this a little bit darker background. And I'm going to use this one pretty much up. And then I'm just going to pick up the mold and tilt it side to side and push it with the stick in order to try to integrate it all across the back. No other coloration is going to be in this. Just the color of the glitter and the dragonfly glaze. Okay, let's get this poured into there. I didn't have enough to put into the back of the hearts, the smaller ones, so this is just it. This is not about my prowess as a resin artist. This is about the evaluation of these molds on the rest of the products that I've got. Do I hope something good shows up? Yes, I do. It looks like I've got just enough to make that final layer show up. Okay, everybody, I'll be back when this is done. Alright, everybody, these are all cured. We're ready to unmold and then inspect the molds and see how they held up under resin. There's like an oily feel to this. And yes, as I had stated, they are matte. Oh, there at least kind of a pearl effect to them. Now I can top coat these with resin. They also kind of have a texture, but I can top coat them and that will bring that shine out. And I can show you a little bit of that with some UV resin. So I'll do that real quick here. Now this is not the thick style of UV resin, so it will tend to run. And I'm only going to do one of these hearts like this. And I'll unmold the rest of these later, since we already see what the effect is. Now before I cure this, I'm going to lift this and show you the difference. That when the top of the heart is clear coated, it will shine. And so I'll get this spread real quick. I'm debating on using a brush or this. Let's use this. So I'm just going to push this around everywhere. Now yes, you should be using gloves when doing this, but I'm choosing to not do that or the value of time right now. And you do want it to try to level just a little bit so that you don't get all these little marks in there. And the reason why I'm showing you this is that since that is an actual food mold, you would still be able to use it for resin with just a few little handy tricks. What I am noticing is on the sides, other than the settling of the glitter, I ended up with no lines to show this was 2 layers. Which is sometimes very difficult to do because these had already all cured, so there was nothing for the other layer of resin to meld with. Okay, I'm going to let that sit a little bit. Try to make sure I get all the satiny looking areas. I need just a little bit more. And as it rests, it will level out, get rid of those lines. You just have to let it rest long enough. Get a little bit more all over here. Alright, while this levels out, smooths out, I'm going to go ahead and unmold the large heart, and we'll see how that looks, which I'm sure I would have to top coat it as well, but I'm not going to bother with that just yet. So you can see what happens here. Now we're going to remove this one, and they are easy to remove. Oh, it is glossy. I like that. But it still feels as though there's oily substance to it on the top. And since I did not fill it, I do have an edge to trim off. But I'm looking for imperfections, and there are a little of them. This is the defects I was talking about in the mold itself, but as I said, if you're using it for food, it wouldn't really, unless you're doing fondant, it wouldn't really hurt. There's scuffs here. Let's see if I can get that. There it is. And there are just definite imperfections in it. And yes, I have a delineator line here. Don't know how well that's going to pick up. There it is, right there. But it's not that noticeable. I don't know that putting the blue behind all that pink helped at all. I can see a few red pieces of glitter in there. I can see some of the holographic shining in. But definitely a lot of the pink got lost. But it turned out pretty well. Okay, I'm just going to put you on pause, quick cure this, and I'll be right back. Alright, this is on its final cure time. I had to bring out the big lamp. There are some spots in here that I want to make sure that the UV got cured, so I'll put this over later. But these are the finished products. Put that out of the way. And as you can see, just a little bit of top coating. And it brings back out the shine. Yes, I didn't get everywhere I needed to go, but this is just a demonstration purpose only. Okay, everyone. Thank you for watching. You will find all the products in the description box, and click on the links. They will send you there. Peace out, everyone.